Horses sweat, men perspire, and ladies glow. This is the earliest piece of instruction I remember receiving from my mother. It clearly wasn't the first, because we were already up to 8-letter words. Perspire. Crucial piece of information. The second bit of instruction I recall receiving from my mother, I don't remember the exact phrasing, but to paraphrase, it was a question followed by a statement. Is it going to fall off? Well, then let it be. This was in reference to what the Victorians would call their undercarriage. For those of you who are unsure, the undercarriage is concealed by what the Victorians would also call trousers. Now, the adjustment of one's undercarriage in public is something that I would never do. 2 reasons. 1, mother is always watching. And 2, it's frightfully undignified. Now, perhaps there are no secrets in these trousers. There are adjustments that could be made, but would I make them in front of you? No, I'd rather set myself on fire. Self-immolation is the term for that, a word that my mother taught me. She is the best. I am unapologetically an enormous fan of my mother. So these first 2 lessons I took to the schoolyard in Saudi Arabia. I grew up in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, this town called Dhahran. It's an oil company town, the last of the great corporate colonies, much like the foundational colonies in Virginia. It's a colony built on business. So perspiration was taking place. It's hot. It's hot there. So when I told my other aged children, I would call them my peers, but I learned that, of course, they were not. When I said, they're like, oh, we're sweating. Well, actually, Dylan, horses sweat. Men perspire and ladies glow. It's a great phrase and an incredible lesson, because not only did it teach me that they were not my peers, it taught me that we were also in a different class. Valuable information. Not based on income, but based on how one conducts oneself. At this point, I should mention that my mother is British. This might explain the way that I'm speaking to you. And the things that I've been saying in our time together. I spell favor with a U, F-A-V-O-U-R. Color, also with a U. I think it's richer that way. C-O-L-O-U-R. Get that from my mother. Got into a lot of trouble in American schools with it. Big red X's all over my papers. And I tried to tell them, you're incorrect. There's a U in color. There's more than one shade of purple. Go to the office. At this point, I'd actually like to apologize for the use of the word I. It's an ugly word. I've used it at least 4 times, 5 times now in our short time together. The correct phrasing is one. One speaks of oneself, right? I is the way that a junior pirate responds to an order from the captain pirate. Which is another phrase that my mother taught me. She taught me everything. She's the best. I'm enormously fond of her. She taught me not just how to behave with people, but also how to play it cool. Which, I mean, who's cooler than mom, right? We are on a boat on the Mai Ping River in Thailand. The boat is sinking. It's a tourist boat. We're on this boat for fun. And the boat is taking on water. I am there. One is there. We are there. We're there together with the family. Father, mother, older brother, he's great, but not aware in the same way, and my younger sisters who are just having a lovely vacation, and all these other people in this boat. It becomes apparent that the water in the boat, it wasn't just splashing over, it's rising in the boat. There's another boat that's heading south. We're heading north on this river. Another boat that's heading south on this river. There's just 2 guys in there, and they're furiously bailing water out of their boat as they're heading south to pick up more tourists on the Mai Ping River in Chiang Mai in Thailand. My mother did the following. You might have missed it. This was a lesson in how to respond to danger. Do not panic, just tense slightly, look around, make eye contact with your son. He's on board. We survived the tourist trip. We continue, actually, to have a spirited correspondence. We were speaking last week. I was in the green room of a comedy show. And it was her birthday, and I was talking to her on the phone, and she was telling me about trouble with aphids in her rose garden. Aphids, terrible creatures. They're raised as cattle by ants, but we don't have time to explain. So these comedians are filing in. I'm on the phone with Mother talking about this, and she mentioned that she had just received a ladybug supply from a gardening outlet, because ladybugs eat aphids, and she needed a house for the ladybugs, and she ordered one that reminded her of the structures in Cappadocia. Other people's mothers would have said they look like the houses in the Smurfs. But my mother just said, oh, yeah, it's, like as one knows, the houses in Cappadocia. And I said, of course, Mother, the houses in Cappadocia. Happy birthday. Love you. Good night. And then the other comedian's like, what on earth are you talking about? I said, well, just standard mom stuff, Cappadocia, etc., etc. Thank you.